Welcome to the WORKPAY Podcast. We're back again. So thank you all for listening. Today we're talking about a topic that keeps finance and HR managers awake in the night. And the topic of today is the payroll and then also the possibilities on outsourcing the payroll. And that it can cause friction, nightmares for the HR managers to take care of the payroll across many African countries. So today I'm joined by the two co-founders of WORKPAY, Paul and Jackson. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
You've been taking care of millions of payroll over the last years, and you've seen many payroll issues, payroll frictions. Well, I think all the disasters of payroll you've heard with while talking to our customers. So I would like to start with the introduction of both of you. So Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Stein. I'm Jackson, co-founder, CFO at WORKPAY, where I help businesses scale teams across the African continent compliantly and cost efficiently.
Thank you. Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Stein. So my name is Paul Kimani. I'm the CEO at WORKPAY. We're helping businesses to essentially scale across the continent without the burden of payroll issues, compliance, and just focusing on what matters, which is growth.
Thanks. Yeah. So the structure of today's podcast is that I'm going to fire some statements. And I'm very happy to see if we can trigger the people who are actually listening in maybe rethinking their whole payroll strategy and execution across the African continent. So are we ready for the first statement?
Yeah.
The first statement is one missed payroll does more damage than a year of perfect ones.
Yeah, that's actually very true. So payroll is very unforgiving.
Yes.
And you think about it is that you can do a whole year, 12 months payroll the right way, and no one is going to appreciate you. That's the expectation, that payrolls need to be done well. But if you do it once or you miss it once, then you lose all the trust that you have built over time with your teams.
And why is it so much more sensitive when it comes to payroll compared to other operational processes?
Because it's a livelihood.
Yeah.
So people depend on the payroll to survive,
personally,
to live.
Yes.
And it's very, very personal.
Yes.
If you think about it. So it's very, very different from any other transaction that you can ever have between the employer and employees. So it's very, very, as I call it a sacred payment when you think about it. So it's very, very personal, and you have to get it all the time. There's actually zero room for getting it wrong. It has to be accurate 100% and on time every time, not a single time. So once you make it go wrong once, you lose all the trust that you have built over the years. You could have spent a lot of time building culture, hiring the right team, getting the right people through the door. But you need to maintain that trust, that they can trust you as a business. And payroll plays a huge role in that.
Thank you. Jack?
Yeah. I think I'll respond to that by adding 2 extra statements.
Yes.
Number one is you have rightly put it in your question to Paul. I think a payroll payment is a very emotive payment. It's emotional, it's personal. So a delay in a payroll payment, it goes
or
straight
a
to the
wrong
heart,
amount.
or the wrong amount. It goes straight to the heart of the employee, right? So that's statement number one. And then I think payroll failure to me as a CFO, I think is one of the asymmetric risks that a business can face, right? The impact of payroll failure is almost immediate. The dissatisfaction in employees is almost immediate. You have to pull in managers of these employees to explain why there was an error. They should not be be doing that. If if you do a payroll error this month, you also have to consider the cascading effects of that error being repeated in preceding cycles. We have data that shows that really a single payroll failure can lead to employee trust scores plummeting in a company of by up to 30%, right? We have an
So that happens. We see that happening when payroll
Yes.
fails.
Yes.
Yes.
The trust that an employee have on the company really plummets, right? We have examples of a simple error of maybe $10,000 leading maybe to a lot of exits from the company, senior members leaving the company, and then you still have to account for the cost of replacing those people, right? So it's not just the error itself can be small, but the business impact that it has on the employees can be very massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as Paul says, no one will ever really reward you for getting payroll right for 12 months. The employees will remember that month that you got it wrong.
Yeah, and I can also imagine if you have, as a company, if you have multiple entities in several African markets, it also comes with a higher complexity of paying your people on time for the right amount.
Yes.
And I can imagine that that's also room for failure, or at least risk for failure.
Yes.
So I think we're going to elaborate more on that during the remaining time of this podcast.
Sure.
Because there are solutions for that.
Yeah,
So that leads us to the second statement. So statement 2 is, if you think payroll errors are just numbers, ask your employees.
Yeah, you pay to the employees. The direct impact is to the employees themselves.
Yes.
So the way we think about payroll is usually a finance issue, but when the errors start coming up, when you are failing or you are delaying paying payroll, then it becomes a people issue, right? Because for a missed payroll, the data is, I would say, it's very clear, right?
Yeah, can you quantify that?
Yeah, I think the employee satisfaction scores goes down roughly by around 30%.
Yeah.
By you missing a payroll or paying it at the
on-time
wrong time.
payment
Yes,
or
on time
missed
payments,
payment.
the right payments.
Yes.
The employee satisfaction scores go down by 30%. And we have seen it really play out in some of our companies. We have a company whose error was just 3,000, but then
$3,000.
$3,000 in the actual payroll error.
Yes.
But the business impact of that was 10 times more, right?
How come?
You're talking about employees, number
Leaving.
one, these employees leaving, right? So you have to
Rehire.
replace those employees. And then if you, as an employer, you are continually known that you delay payroll, that's the hit on your employer brand is high. Then that means that your hiring process is slow because no one is accepting your offers. So that whole business impact can compound a lot, right? I think the important thing is that it's not the amount that really matters. It's the signal that messing around with payroll sends to the employees, and more so the employees might perceive you as an employer that you don't care enough. And when employees start thinking that the employer does not care enough, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
And when you even correct the payroll, the employees don't start trusting you back immediately.
Yeah.
They will take time if ever they start trusting you. So I think it's important always to ensure that you get your payroll right all the time, because the employees and how they react to that will tell you.
Yeah, and although it is a very complex setup, I think, like
Yeah.
payroll, running payroll across multiple countries. And it's not a nice to have, but it's a must have
Yeah.
process or service,
Yeah.
right? So, Paul, how do you see this?
So I really like this statement because actually this is the foundation of why we started the company, WorkPay, because we firmly believe that employees need to be paid on time every time with no failure. And if you think about employees' payment salaries, I always say that it's not a benefit that you're giving employees. You're actually paying them for the work that they have done for you. And it's very, very emotive, important transaction that the businesses do to the people that work for them. If you think about salaries, as I mentioned earlier, is actually the livelihoods of people. A delayed salary is the difference between somebody not being able to make rent, somebody not being able to pay school fees for their daughter, somebody not being able to pay for a hospital bill for their children. So it's not just a balance in a bank account. It is actually affecting and going directly into the people's livelihood.
Yeah.
So this is not just a metric that you have in your finance dashboards or in your company metrics that you track. Is actually something that goes deeper into affecting people's lives. So it's something that businesses ought to pay a lot of attention to. They really need to understand that this goes a long way in affecting, number one, the morale of the employees that they work with. Number two, the engagement that the employees have with. And then, as Jack says, you need to see it as a growth lever in terms of, like, if you are not able to pay your employees on time, you end up going into all those challenges. People not engage, so they're not giving their 100% at work. And then worst of all is you start losing good talent, and we know how that spirals down in terms of cost piling up. You have to rehire people. You have to start rebuilding a reputation, which is harder. And the thing is, like, these things people know most of the time is like we work in very, very small ecosystems, and you are competing for a very limited talent, good talent in Nairobi. You are competing for that very limited talent in Cape Town, limited talent in Lagos. So if this is the reputation that you build, that people are never sure when they are going to be paid, or how they are going to be, or whether they're even going to be paid the right way, I think that's very, very risky for your business. And the reason why, to me, this is quite important is actually have lived it myself in the sense that in my previous life where I used to work, is that it used to be you never know when you are going to be paid. And I was in leadership, and I saw it firsthand in terms of how disengaged the employees were, especially when it comes to, towards the end of the pay cycle. If you get paid on a monthly basis, you actually see it. People really are reserved. People are not giving their 100%.
It affects them personally, right?
It affects them because how do you expect somebody to show up? Most of the time, as employers, we need our people to show up more than 110% every day, yet they have left their kids with some school fees issues, or they have left there, they don't know whether they are going to be able to make rent. How do you expect them to show up 100% or more than that on a daily basis? So it's a very, very important payment. And it would be great for employers to really understand that it's not just like you're paying a supplier. It's different. It's not like you're paying your rent for your office. It's different. This is a livelihood that you're actually impacting when you're paying people.
And we know that, like, having multiple entities in multiple African countries, the whole payroll infrastructure can be very complicated, right? And that's a risk for delayed payments or wrong amounts.
Yeah.
So I think that's I'm very happy that WorkPay can help in providing that service to those companies. So that brings us to the third statement. And the third statement is: managing 5 different payroll providers feels like herding cats or sheep. So expensive, stressed cats or sheep.
Yeah.
So how do we see this?
It's actually sometimes even more difficult and more complicated than sometimes leaders think about it.
Yeah.
Or they
To have
put
multiple payroll providers.
exactly.
And to manage them.
Exactly, because put into perspective, as we have been saying, like just even managing payroll in one country and doing it right. Remember, we say there are no mistakes in payroll. It's not going to forgive you. Just doing it in one country is even just hard enough. But now compounding it into different countries, and you're doing this probably in-house using different providers becomes quite hard. As you say, it's like herding cats. And then that compounds in terms of the errors that can come and creep in. And errors means compounds in terms of the costs for you to redo that error that can actually got into. So it's actually true, that statement, but that it's very hard for you to be able to figure out this payroll in multiple countries. But then the good news is that there are always way out to be able to do that. And for people who really prioritize growth or prioritize the most important outcomes as a business, they look for partners to be able to walk with them in this journey and figure out what is important.
So and if they have multiple partners or payroll providers in all those different markets, what's the risk on lack of visibility on all those partners and on the payroll for their own people?
Yeah. I think it's just the number of blind spots that it introduces to organization. I think everybody knows fragmentation doesn't scale, but somehow we still find ourselves in that position where we are working in a fragmented manner. So if you really, you want to, number one, use data to be able to help you to think ahead of a business, I think you have to really, find a way to really bring everything together, remove the fragmentation, because then it removes the blind spots that you have as a business. Then if you are steering the company, then you are not flying the plane blind. Allows you to be able to move faster and scale.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Jack?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement. It's actually more so about what actually happens. You have 5 different payroll providers, right? I don't want to imagine what it would mean if you have 10 and you have 10 different payroll providers.
So what breaks first with all these providers?
So I think imagine a finance manager, your finance manager who is dealing with payroll. I think their work quickly shifts to coordinating these different providers. They are not paying more attention to the data itself, but it's more of a coordination exercise, because I would guess these different providers, they have, number one, different reports. They have different payroll reports, right? Different payroll formats, different payment deadlines, right? So all that becomes super complicated for the HR manager, and the problem really comes in when something breaks, and usually something breaks because you're having 5 different people. You can't really try to figure out where responsibility for an error happens. The providers will keep blaming the internal team. The internal team will blame the providers or whoever advisor is in between there. I think the other aspect is you're in 5 different countries. You are paying these people in different currencies, right? There's a lot of FX exposure, right? If that process is not coordinated, it directly goes to the P&L. A lot of FX losses happen there because you don't know the right amount of money that you need to pay in the local currencies. But imagine a situation where now all these providers are one. Your currency discussions are coordinated, right? The payroll reports that you have are consolidated. You can see them in one dashboard. Then all these problems around payroll becomes non-existent. The finance manager who was doing a coordination business is now starting to look at the actual numbers of your payroll, right? If if as a CFO, I ask my HR person, how many employees do you have? They can be able to go to a single platform like WorkPay and be able to see what is my headcount, how much am I spending to pay all my employees in all these different countries. So I agree with that statement. It's very complicated if you're having 5 different countries, 5 different partners to run payroll.
And you as a CFO, you know how
Yes,
complicated it
I
can
know
be.
how that complicated can be. In our initial years when we started expanding to Nigeria, we were running 2 different systems. They were not talking to each other, right? And really we had to stop that and build a platform where someone can be able to visualize all their payroll costs, all their head count numbers, all their people analytics, just in one platform.
Yeah, so I'm also very curious to hear, or to people can reply, to hear if people are aware that they can actually outsource all their payroll hassle, and not only for one market, but for the entire African continent. So I think that's, I hope that's new for the people and a positive thing to hear.
Yeah.
So let's continue with statement 4. Are we ready? And that is, payroll should be boring. That's the point.
Yeah, so it's a success when payroll is not coming up in a management meeting every time. When it is boring enough to an extent that people forget it's actually happening. I think that's a sign of success, because if you think about payroll, there are 2 critical aspects of it. So number one is what you said, paying people. Like, people have to be paid on time every time. The other aspect is the payroll comes with compliance aspects, that you need to be able to be paying taxes. You need to be paying taxes, have deadlines. So if it's boring enough that your management never gets a charge from compliance authorities in whichever country you are in, they forget about it. Employees never raise issues because it's so smooth. They actually get it on an everyday. That's actually success, because boring payroll means it's predictable.
It goes well.
Every time. It's predictable. There are no errors. Employees are getting paid on time. Taxes are paid on time. Benefits that are on top of it are actually filed and paid on time. So,
and I think it's interesting what you're saying. It's not only what people might think. It's not only literally paying the people, but it's also doing that in a compliant way. And that compliant way can differ heavily per country, right? So all these rules and regulations should be all incorporated in the way how you pay your people and do your tax filing.
Absolutely. Like, it should be like boring enough that doesn't matter how many countries you have employees. It's so on autopilot that people actually forget that people are paid on a monthly basis, because it's so boring that it never breaks.
Thank you.
Jack? Yeah, I think the statement really talks towards automation, because that's basically, as Paul says, making the payroll super predictable. I need to know that I'm going to be paid on the 25th of every month. I need to be sure that my social benefits are filed by maybe the 5th of the following month, or whichever deadline that the different tax authorities have set. And it needs to be that smooth. If it's that smooth, then it becomes super boring. But I think there are also other benefits of automation, especially internally. So number one,
if you outsource your payroll.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you outsource your payroll to someone who knows what they are doing. So number one, what is likely to happen? Payroll is the responsibility of the HR manager, right? So if they reduce their payroll processing time, the time that they spend caring about payroll, you reduce that time maybe by 80%.
Yeah, you can even have a discussion on the return on investment of the reducement of their time on all that paperwork.
Yes, so the HR manager is able to concentrate on other things that are helping the company move forward. They can concentrate on talent development. They can concentrate on building the right culture. They can concentrate on ensuring that we are hiring the right people. That boils down also to they can concentrate on things like performance management, and these are things that are helping the company to grow, right? And it's by that simple act of accepting that payroll is complicated in itself. It becomes even more complicated when it's in multiple countries. Once you accept that, then you start looking for people who have done payroll at scale.
Who dream payroll at scale.
Yes, people who wake up thinking about payroll, thinking about payroll tax regulations in different countries, and just let them handle that payroll for you, so that you as the HR managers, as a finance manager, you can focus on what really moves the needle within the business.
And with happy employees who are paid on time.
Most importantly, no errors in payroll, release happy employees. They'll deliver a lot if they're happy.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the fifth statement we're discussing here is that payroll data from last month is already too late, or you could maybe even say outdated.
Yeah, a very true statement, I would say, again.
Yeah.
Payroll data really becomes obsolete very fast, right? Once I pay an employee, to an employee, they're already focusing maybe perhaps on what they are supposed to do this month, and of course looking forward to the salary of the next month. But internally as a company, I think once payroll is paid out, most companies can wait maybe 2-3 weeks before they get all these payroll reports from different
Providers,
from different providers. And by the time that you're getting data around payroll, how big is your payroll, how many employees do you have, maybe you have already made other decisions that affect that. Maybe you have already hired in another country that you should not be hiring.
Outdated data.
Yes, because you have outdated data. If you are a CFO and your payroll maybe has exceeded by 15%, and you don't know that overspending your budget will continue happening, right? So I think having real-time payroll data is key. It's very important.
Consolidated over
the entire consolidated process, and you can see it real time. As soon as it happens, you can be able to see it in real time, because then that allows you to make decisions when they matter, right? You can maybe pause hiring in country A, accelerate hiring in country B, because you have real data on what you need to do. So I think it's having real payroll data. I think it's a competitive advantage to any company.
And it can be used as a fuel in your whole decision-making process, right? Yes, I agree. So thank you. Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is where payroll changes from being very proactive to be more predictive from a strategy point of view. And this can only work if it's actually done well and if it's working. Remember, going back to the boring part, it has to be boring enough so that the finance team is not trying to firefight and figure out and fix things that happened last quarter. They actually are looking at it from a strategic point of view. They're able to predict on what is going to happen, a couple of quarters down the road, because it's done well. And that's why doing it well and having it right allows them to be able to do that. And I know, as we are all saying here, you want to make your most important assets, which are your people, and in this case, the finance people and the HR people, such that they are not really just focusing on what happened the last 2 months, the last quarter, because it was perfect, it was okay, and you're releasing that time for them to be able to think like, what exactly help us to win as a business, what exactly help us to move the needle, and that payroll becomes more strategic as opposed to be more reactive, firefighting and everything. It becomes an asset to your business that helps you to grow. And that can only happen if you have the right data in one place, regardless of where all these people are, what we call the single source of truth.
Yeah.
And then the second one is that it's well done, that you're not spending time to fix things. You're actually spending time to look forward and look ahead.
Yeah, so actually the having real-time visibility on your payroll data across the African continent can change your daily work as a finance team member, right? Or HR team member.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's mind-blowing to think about it, especially for people who have employees in different countries can 100% relate to this, is that you are dealing with so many different things, from currencies. Like today you are trying to figure out how to pay people in, XOF in West Africa. You need to figure out how to pay people in with Pula. You need to figure out people in Rand, shillings, all those things. And if that data is not very clear to you, you actually lose money, actual money in that. And what you want to give the finance people is a very clear way for them to understand that data, such that they're able to even predict in terms of like, how does this affect us 3 months down the road, even from that single aspect of FX rates. How does this actually affect us down the road? So it's quite complicated, especially if you want to do it in-house, if you're not getting like the right partners that can help you to be able to do that.
And you also don't want to hire a Nigerian payroll specialist or a specialist in South Africa or a specialist in Kenya. That's also not a very sustainable model, I would say, right?
Yeah, it goes back to fragmentation.
Yes.
You don't want to have siloed teams that are doing all these things, yet there are options for you which are affordable and more scalable, just putting everything together in one place.
Yes, so very interesting. Thank you. So this brings us to the last and final statement.
Yeah.
And that is that the best finance team, they don't manage payroll, they manage growth. Paul.
Yeah, so I think it goes back to the strategic view of how you look at your people, and the strategic view of how you look at the finance teams. You don't want them to have them tied down into admin work.
No.
Like you don't want them to be worrying on whether people are actually paid, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa, in Egypt. Because you want your finance people to be strategic in the sense that they need to be thinking about what is our cost of acquiring customers. They need to be advising businesses like, where are we leaking money, or where are we not growing profitably in a way. Like those are the things that you want your finance people to be involved in. You don't want them to be chasing a salary to your employee in Angola, yet you can actually automate that and have that running smoothly without having to worry about it on a daily basis. Yet they can now be focusing on what really matters for the business to move. So to the statement, I agree. You don't need your quite important people that probably you pay a lot of money for them to help you move the business forward, focusing on things that could be automated and things that could be done in a more scalable manner. And you want to give yourself the optionalities to be able to scale faster and be able to give your teams the time and the space for them to really think about how do they help the business to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the issues you're raising, that like teams are drowned into spreadsheets or admin stuff that's all related to payroll and compliance. So that's on that topic, do you see that across all sectors and industries, or are there specific industries you can point out?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So if you think about, I think about it like from a compliance perspective,
Yes.
and I think about it from what we see every day. Is that right now compliance is becoming key. It's a necessity. It's not an option. It has never been an option, but it's even right now it's even tougher for business not to be compliant. it actually becomes a difference between whether you're going to succeed or not. Now imagine as a business, you have to figure out compliance in like multiple countries. Think about that for a minute. And that's where now you find yourself drowning in all the spreadsheets, trying to log into multiple bank portals to just pay one or two employees in
I can't even imagine.
in different countries. So
Yeah.
it's quite of a mess and
Yeah.
quite of a hard task for you to be able to do that. So in terms of it's not industry specific need, is actually for anybody who cares about compliance, which everybody should care about compliance. You should be able to, this works for them. So, of course, there are industries that are more into this space. Think about, for example, non-government organization. Of course, you'll find that they work in multiple countries. We have customers even working in like 20 countries, for example. You think people in tech, for example, you'll also find them working in, having engineers spread all over the world. So for some industries, of course, it's more prevalent. But I think if there's something that COVID taught us in the last 6 years ago, is that actually opportunities might be or could be in one place, but talent is not in one place. And that's actually an advantage that businesses have. In a surprising way, we have somebody in a very hardware kind of sector who is actually, they build or they sell things like water pumps, they sell things around irrigation, who actually has used us to hire an employee in Malawi, yet they are based in Kenya, which is something could have been unheard of maybe a couple of years ago. So it's spreading, I would say, for me, thinking about like our customer base, is like every sector is represented in the people who are actually using this kind of services to be able to like, you know what, I don't want to stress about compliance, yet there's somebody who wakes up every day to stress about that, and that's us.
Good one. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a statement that really talks to me as a finance person, and I see it more a question more around resource allocation, right? So imagine you had, let's say, 200,000 budget. The question I would ask a finance person is: would you rather invest that money hiring payroll specialists in each country that you are in, or would you rather invest that money in growth and then partner with
The specialist.
the specialists,
Yeah.
providers like WorkPay, who have done payroll at scale? Then you concentrate on growth. And I think the data is clear. Companies that choose growth, they choose growth, they hire the right talent, concentrate on that, while we as WorkPay are dealing with the hard stuff of running payroll for you, right? The companies that choose maybe to hire payroll specialists in every country, you're still dealing with a lot of payroll-related compliance questions. They never go away because they never do it right. Yeah. So ultimately, I think the real question, I would say, it's a simple question. As a finance person, would you rather own payroll systems, or would you rather have a bigger market share? I think the answer is clear.
Thank you. So I think we made very clear that we at WorkPay, we wake up with payroll, we go to bed with payroll, and same for compliance, and for maybe 34 African countries. So I think we were able to make that very clear. So as we wrap things up, where do we take it from here? So if anyone is listening in and thinks, oh, we might need to fix or rethink our payroll outsourcing strategy or approach, what should be then the key takeaway?
So I think what I would say is that organization needs to think about payroll from a strategic angle, and they need to really understand the importance of it in the growth of the organization and what it means to employees.
What are the costs?
And what that costs for them to be able to have it get it right. And the other thing is that they need to really also seek help where it becomes very, very complicated, and because it needs, it can become very complex over time, and then that can compound from a cost perspective, and then becomes it's very, very hard to clean up payroll mess, especially when you're in multiple countries, and we have helped many companies to do that. But it's expensive. So if you can do it right from the word go, that would be as your superpower down the road as you continue growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Or you want to, please, for the final words of you.
Thank you, Stein. I think for me, I would implore companies maybe this week, this month, this quarter to run a very honest payroll audit, right?
Yes.
Look at how long it takes to run payroll. Look at the errors that maybe your internal team does and how long that takes to correct. Look how long it takes to get accurate payroll data, which is very important for decision making, and then try to quantify that, right? I believe most businesses that think that payroll is fine until it's not. And I think keeping an eye on that, ensuring that your payroll is right all the time, I think it should be high in the priority list of any finance manager out there.
Yeah. Thank you for those final words. So Paul and Jackson, thank you so much for these very interesting insights. I think it was very meaningful to hear and to listen to. So for everyone listening, if you want to learn more about payroll outsourcing, and how WorkPay can play a role in giving you back more time and control and insights, please reach out to our website, myworkpay.com, or reach out to any of us. We are here to help you. Please subscribe to our WorkPay podcast, and we are looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you.